Recording and start the webinar. We're off.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our STI PA November general meeting. We have a short agenda today, of course, with our wonderful APs taking us through their departments and giving us detail of courses available to students in each grade. But I just wanted to let everyone know to please stay until the end when we also give our PA update. We have a link in chat. I'm going to put it up in a second. So please make sure you vote on our two items, which is the minutes and the finances, and the documents are found in a link with the folder. So I want to give a huge shout out to the parents that responded to our call for donation and actually made the donation in the recent week. We still have quite a bit to go. We're only 40% of the way there. So whether it's 200, 2,000, 2,500, whatever each family could afford to give, hopefully we could take that and work together and support each other with our schools, our students, and our community. And this week, just to let everyone know, we are finalizing our payments for a lot of critical items, such as our access points, our testing, AP testing, social study books, professional development for teachers, field trips, lab equipment, and critical educational platform. So if you haven't gotten a chance to give, please, or would like to give more, please consider donating to our sty-pa.org donate. Now remember, stay till the end and put in your vote. With that said, Dina, as promised, short and quick intro. I'm going to pass it to you.
Thank you, Thanks, Cassandra. So yeah, we're really excited today because we are having our annual presentation with our instructional department chairs. And tonight's presentation is being simultaneously interpreted in sign language on your screen, as well as in Mandarin on a phone line. And the information for the Mandarin interpretation will be in the chat if you're not already on that line. So as you may know, we will be releasing Spring 2025 programming selections on Thursday of this week. And in preparation for that release and looking ahead to planning for next year, it's really beneficial for you to know about course offerings and have the opportunity to get your questions answered tonight. So you're going to get a brief overview of academic policies from Principal Yu, and our instructional team will provide a high-level overview on grading policies, expectations, and of course, their courses. So we took a number of questions in advance on the Google form available in the webinar registration. Most of those questions will be answered through our assistant principal's presentations tonight. But you may also use the Q&A feature during this webinar to ask additional questions. I know that some of you are already raising your hands. We don't have the ability to call on you, so we do ask that you use the Q&A feature to ask questions. We may not get to every question tonight that's submitted during the webinar. We do have 8 presenters this evening, but we will review all of your questions and if necessary, reach out directly or provide additional information along with the recording of this presentation and the slides that will be in the weekly update. So ask away, use that Q&A feature, and as our assistant principals are finishing their slides, I will pull some questions that we will answer tonight live before the next presenter goes on. So to get us started this evening, I'm going to turn it over to Principal Yu.
Thanks, Dina, and thank you, Cassandra, as well. Good evening, everyone. It's really great to be here. We're approximately 50 school days into this 24-25 school year, so again, it's going by pretty quickly. Before I actually begin, just want to reiterate, just for our Parents Association, I want to say a big thank you for allowing us to give this presentation earlier than the updates that they will be giving. So again, we'll encourage everyone to stay on. Those announcements from our Parents Association are really vital, making sure that you're abreast of all the key activities and updates that are happening from our families. And just to reiterate as well, the school relies heavily on the support and partnership with our Parents Association. Been fortunate to work closely with the executive board. I know how hard all of you work to be able to contribute to the school. We rely heavily on the resources, whether it's your time, your funding, or your energy. And 7 days a week, lots of times I see many of the volunteers in the school day, and a lot on the weekends. And I know all that you're doing to support the school. You're going to hear tonight the variety of courses and things that we are trying to do in each of our departments. Each of our department heads really, again, are grateful and appreciative of all the things that you are able to provide, because it essentially extends to what our young people are going to have access to in respects to opportunities. So if you can give, please do so. And again, stay on for this evening to hear from your Parents Association. So let me just start. Again, I'm really delighted to be here. For those who were not, or at least who've been in the school, I was not here last year for this meeting because I was in Korea last year, so I got to miss this. But I know that our department chairs had an opportunity to really showcase a lot of the great things that are happening in the departments. Tonight, you're going to hear from them, and again, high level, really just giving you an overview of what our expectations are, what we're trying to pursue, the variety of courses that we have that we do believe really complement what we want to see in our young people from an academic standpoint, from a professional standpoint, and again, just the maturation of understanding what it means to be a serious student and to do well after Stuyvesant High School. So I want to give you some high level just in terms of our overall expectations and policies. Since my time starting in 2020, we've laid out expectations, what we've called our instructional expectations, and every year we continue to refine these expectations and these policies. Education continues to evolve. We want to maintain and retain all the things that have allowed Stuyvesant to continue to have incredible outcomes, student outcomes, while also working to better understand how our young people are learning, how they're demonstrating their learning, and continuing to make adjustments in the teaching and learning process. So we sent out our instructional expectations at the very beginning of the year. I encourage you to read it. It essentially lays out expectations for our supervisors, such as our department chairs, our expectations for our teachers, our expectations for our school counselors, and expectations for our students and families, because in essence, we're working together in partnership to help our young people be successful and meet the mission of our school, which is really to help them become caring and contributing citizens of the world. Additionally, in terms of the expectations, again, we want to encourage you to take a look at the grading framework. It's essentially an outline of how we evaluate our young people in relation to their courses, and each of our disciplines has some nuance to it. So while we give a school-wide framework, it essentially lays out a variety of categories, whether it's a summative assessments, to homework, to classwork. And again, all of these categories allow our teachers to be able to better assess and evaluate how our young people are performing on any given point during the term. So again, each of our teachers as well as our departments have some nuances. So I would encourage you to read our grading framework. And then of course, you're going to hear some of that tonight from our department chairs. And then of course, as well, we know that there are times where, again, there's late work or missing work for a variety of reasons, including excused absences, unexcused. We really wanted to lay that out. And the goal here is that we want young people to maintain their responsibility. We recognize there's always some adjustments that need to be made, but it's important to review that because we want to make sure there's fairness across our classes, across our students, and across our teachers. And so it's really important to make sure that we're looking at this in particular around absences. We strongly encourage that students are in school daily because we go through content and instruction quickly because of the amount of content that we go through. We do recognize young people get sick and at times they have other opportunities. So we really want to make sure that our students and families review the instructional expectations and in particular any of the late and missing work. And then one thing that we did differently this year is we offered an explanation of grades. This is really important to better understand how we're structured in respects to Jupyter and our grading platform, to how we organize our calendar into 2 different terms, and then when report cards are distributed. This is important just so that you have an awareness of how the school structure is organized in relation to grades, and then how we do this on a yearly basis. It even outlines some of the grading categories so that you have a sense of how students are performing and what it means in the grand scheme of a grading scale. And then a few other pieces here that I just want to quickly review. Our homework policy, again, we've made adjustments throughout the time that I've been at Stuyvesant to better support our young people, to work closely with our teachers, and in recognition of a schedule in which many of our students take advanced placement or even post AP courses. And so again, we want to get through the content. We want to go deeper than the content. And homework is really vital in building those routines, building the practice, and opportunities for our young people to really strengthen the things that they're learning inside the classroom. Again, we want to lay out exactly when homework can be assigned and then how long it may take. But again, it's a guidepost to give us some opportunities to have conversations between our teachers and our students and their classes, and again, better gauging the work that's being assigned so that our young people can perform to the best of their ability. 2 more things, and then we'll get moving into the core of tonight's presentation. One of the things that's really important for me, and this, I think it's important for everyone, is our spiral of communication. There are going to be times where there's miscommunication and disagreement. And so it's really vital in which we follow this line of communication. We do have a variety of individuals that a young person and or their family can speak with. We really want our young people to be proactive, to advocate for themselves, because again, they're the ones that can speak about how they're feeling, about their misunderstanding or gaps in understanding, or their seeking of clarity. So we want to make sure that our students and families are reading the spiral of communication. It starts between the teacher and the student. That's a really vital relationship that must be established. And so, whenever there's any issues or gaps in understanding or miscommunication, we want to make sure that our students and their teachers are the first in line to communicate. Our school counselors are also there that are parallel to be able to help support the student as well as working with the teacher. And then, of course, if there's still an impasse, then we do want to escalate it, where then it could go to our department chairs, as well as our AP of Pupil Personnel, Ms. Pedrick. Again, there's a line here that we want to make sure that we're seeking, so that, again, we can hopefully resolve it and clear any misunderstanding or miscommunication. And then ultimately, if it comes to it, then I will also intervene. But the key thing that we really want to stress here is that we want our young people to advocate. We want them to establish that relationship with their teachers so that we can make sure that they are coming to a resolution and better understanding of whatever issue that may arise. I'm not going to touch on the testing policy, but I would encourage everyone to make sure that they're looking at how we organize our calendar, because of the number of holidays, or professional development days. That does impact our weeks, whether it's a 3-day week or whether it's a 5-day week. We do have a testing calendar. We make that readily available on our website. We encourage our families to look at that. We do ask our teachers to make sure that they test on their designated days and give a week's notice so that our young people can prepare. We are a testing school. We use that as evaluation and better assess not only instruction, but determining where our young people are. That's the testing schedule is organized so that students and families, as well as our staff, recognize when we have a full week or any abbreviated weeks, what the schedule will look like. And one piece in there that I just want to emphasize, particularly as we're looking at technology, we're coming to Regents in January. We'll have advanced placement, and then of course the June Regents. There are a number of different regulations that we must follow, and that's the same whether it's an exam that's in one of our classes or whether it's a state or standardized examination. There are specific processes and procedures that we expect our young people to follow, including putting away any electronic devices. Again, we want to assume the best in our young people, but these are procedures that are really important to follow. And if there are questions that we want our young people to ask that to their teacher or to the proctor, we don't want any confusion on this. We do have strict guidelines that we must follow. And again, not going to presume the worst in our young people, but rather we want to make sure that they're clear about these types of procedures because it does have an impact, whether it's an exam from the classroom or any type of state or standardized examination. And then finally, the academic integrity policy. This is a policy that we really are continuing to refine. I think there's elements of it that's pretty self-explanatory, particularly when it comes to plagiarism or cheating. We want to make sure our young people are aware that, again, this is an opportunity to make sure that they maintain and retain their reputation. We want to make sure that they're doing the work independently, particularly when it comes to projects, papers, and or exams. Again, the way that we want our young people to learn that there are ramifications when they make a decision around dishonesty, and even to the point of laying out what we define as dishonest, as well as thinking about the advent of technology, the advent of generative AI. We know that continues to evolve, but again, we really want to make sure our young people are aware of that. Stuyvesant, along with New York City Public Schools and even higher education, are all examining the academic integrity because we want to make sure our young people are able to think originally, independently, and be able to do the thinking on their own. And if they are using using other bodies of work or even quotations or such, that they're going to cite that work and give credit where credit is due. But I really want to encourage our students and our families to look at our integrity policy. Again, this is part of the value system that we really uphold. We want to make sure our young people, again, are putting forth their best selves, particularly when it comes to academics. And again, this is important when reviewing the policy. We'll continue to revive our overall academic policies and instructional expectations on a yearly basis. We do listen to the feedback of our families and our students, and we do make and staff, and we make adjustments every year around the things that we've learned. Our department chairs do a really good job of speaking with a variety of constituents to better understand what tweaks we do need to make. But again, I encourage you to take a moment and read the policies. They are important because it does outline exactly how we proceed with specific academic procedures and policies. And again, this is important so that we're clear and on the same page working off these policies. All right. I think we're going to move into the departments and some of the work that happens in the department. So next slide, please. We're going to talk about world languages, and I'm actually going to introduce Ms. Rosani Hanau. She is a LEAP participant, which is a leadership program through the New York City Public Schools. And she is supporting our world languages with me. She's going to give you a broad overview of some of the coursework that we do and overall kind of goals of world language. So, Ms. Hanau?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Yu. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with you to give you a brief overview of our world languages department. So we offer a very robust language program offering 6 classes, 6 different subjects. Levels 1 through 3 in French, German, Japanese, Latin, Mandarin, and Spanish. For all these course offerings, we also have advanced placement, which students can take as long as they follow the sequencing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the slide. So as you can see, students are required to take a 3-year sequence of the world language that they choose, that they get into, and to stick to that specific language. They're not allowed to change, so they must complete that sequencing. Upon completion of that sequencing, their 3rd year, junior year, they actually get to take the world language assessment. in which it's been renamed. It used to be called the LOTE, and now it's called the Comprehensive World Language Assessment Examination, which they take in June once they've completed their year of that world language. And then upon successful completion of that exam and the course, they can get to earn an advanced Regents diploma and also get the STI endorsement. Obviously, via world languages, we intend to not only build proficiency and fluidity in the world language and see the world through a different lens, but we really want to cultivate world citizenship and just really make sure that our students have a more broader understanding of how world cultures work so that they can become, again, more active and proactive citizens of the world. In terms of our actual programming, students, freshmen can take a placement exam if they've taken a specific world language in middle school, and some of them may actually end up starting in level 2, year 2, let's say French or Spanish, and then they must follow that 3-year sequencing, which means that they will start in level 2, go to level 3, and then they may end up taking AP, whichever AP language for that particular language, whether it's Latin or French, or an elective if it's being offered that year. And again, once they are done with their 3-year world language requirement, they can choose, if they qualify, again, to take an AP course and even pursue the New York State Seal by Literacy, which again is another way of them showcasing the literacy skills that they feel, their bilingualism and their multicultural background by working with their AP teacher and a small committee of teachers and actually earning this seal, which again also looks great for colleges. And in terms of students that get admitted into the AP courses, we definitely prioritize students that have been following the sequencing, that have been working towards completing those 3 years and may end up in AP or starting into and end up with AP or the elective and so on. So in terms of our actual grading policy, pretty straightforward in that 60% of their actual grade is summative assessments, so exams, projects, quizzes. Homework is 20% and classwork is 20%. Again, teachers have different styles, so their classwork, homework assignments may look slightly differently. However, the rigorous instruction, the rigorous assessment, pretty much across all the different languages, all 6 languages, remain pretty much the same. And again, it's our intention to provide students with a really immersive and rigorous, immersive, but also enriching language and cultural experience as they fulfill 3 or more years of that particular language in our department. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Fanal. Let me just also can you go back to the slide? Sorry, back to the world language slide for a second. I just want to stress a few other points around world language. We're very fortunate that we can offer 6 different languages. Again, we do our very best to match our young people with their preferences. We're not always able to do that. And again, our belief is, regardless of whatever language that you are in, we do believe that we can help our students reach fluency and fluidity, both in the language itself, as well as exposure to the cultural elements of that language and the countries that they may represent. It's really important that, again, I stress this, we value world language. We really want our young people to earn the credits and be exposed. There's a number of hours that are needed to acquire language, and we do believe we do our very best to make sure our young people are exposed or practicing. So when we get our students in their freshman year who say, "Oh, I had 2 to 3 years in middle school," and then they get placed in one of our level 1 classes, they see how immersed they become in the course because our teachers teach in their target language for the vast majority of the class, and really are working to make sure young people are hearing and using the language. Again, part of our requirement is a 3-year sequence. We want our young people to earn the Advanced Regents Diploma. We want them to take the World Language Examination. We want them to earn the Stuyvesant endorsement because we do recognize the importance of world language. And, I will say this too. We've been thinking a lot more about the various credentials. So New York State Seal of Biliteracy, there are specific qualifications and indicators that our young person has to meet, both from English proficiency and that their specific world language. We work with our young people and the teachers to see, again, how many students that we can help them earn that seal of biliteracy. It's really important. It's another credential and again, showcases their proficiency in a specific world language. And of course, with advanced placement courses, many of our teachers all say, it's like, they'll tell the students starting in level 1, like, 3 to 4 years from now, you're going to be fluent. And I know it may not feel that way right now, but it will. And again, we recognize, the exposure and the content depth of all our various levels and how important they are in respects to getting our young people to feel much more comfortable, much more fluid, and much more fluent in those specific languages. And then finally, all of this is complemented and supplemented by the variety of things that we do, whether it's Spanish Honor Society, whether it's the different events that we hold throughout the year where we really work to celebrate world language and the cultures that they represent. And again, all of that is intertwined during both inside and outside the classes. But we're really excited about our world language and so glad that we can offer a variety of courses and levels so that our young people can continue to be global citizens. So I'm going to hand it over now, I think, to Mr. Thomas, who will be talking.
1 second before we move on to chemistry, we did have just a couple of questions for you and Ms. Hanau for world language. So one was, if a child is in level 1 in their freshman year and by junior year they feel ready to take AP, are they allowed to? And then, of course, if they do complete that, can they start a new language in their senior year?
So it depends. I mean, every year we always have to look at the incoming freshman class and see about seat availability. Again, we emphasize the kids who are already on the sequence, and again, that's who we're going to prioritize, particularly for our juniors and seniors. So it's on a case-by-case basis. We'll take a look. And if we have available seats, then we will definitely consider that. But typically in terms of the overall coursework and course load, we'll work with a school counselor and the student to best figure out what might be the best choices when it comes to world language, particularly if it's going to be looking at another language as well in terms of their senior year. But I would just say if there is seats available and availability, then we would consider it, but we won't know that. We won't know that until we won't know that until on a yearly basis.
Okay, and then one last question is, how important is it to take an AP level after you complete your 3 years, especially if you're pursuing a major in college that's not applicable, such as history or something else? Is it really necessary to take that AP level course?
Oh, I mean, I think for any advanced placement course, we want our young people to want to be interested in taking the course because it's not intended to be easy. It's intended to be one that we want our young person to want to do. I would say that would be a conversation that we'd want the student to speak with their counselor and or eventual college counselor to best determine, what makes sense in their overall transcript. But I would say if they're very interested in world language and again, want to pursue just the learning of that, then following the sequence, advanced placement is after our level 3. So again, I think that's a much more nuanced conversation for the student and, including the family, but with the counselor and eventual college counselor.
Okay, there actually was a very good question that was just submitted, so I'm going to slip it in as your last one for world language. Can students who speak a language outside of the 6 that we teach obtain a seal of biliteracy? Suppose you have taken it outside.
So that's a great question. And again, we are working with the world language multilingual office of the central office to see what resource that we may have available. It is possible. It just depends on our ability to make sure that we get all the different examinations and qualifiers and getting the support, because particularly if we don't have the staffing for that particular language. It is possible. We would want to work with the student and the family and then get some more guidance on how to best support them if it's possible.
All right, thank you. And I guess now we are ready to move on to Mr. Thomas. He has several departments to discuss with us.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to be speaking about 4 different departments: the chemistry department, art department, technology department, and music department. So I guess the first slide is chemistry. So for just a background here, chemistry is a branch of physical science that studies the structure, composition, and properties of matter. Our goal for the chemistry department is to provide students with a solid foundation in the physical sciences while fostering a general interest in science. To do so, we offer a wide range of courses, which include those required for graduation, such as modern chemistry or AP chemistry, along with courses geared for students who have a strong interest in science, such as organic chemistry and advanced chemistry lab. We also offer an elective called Science and Society, which looks at the relationship between science and society and the impact they have on each other, which includes topics such as scientific method, public policy, experimental design, and ethics. We also have just a little overview here for the courses. So typically, students will take chemistry in 10th grade. They have a choice to take either modern chemistry or AP chemistry. And then in 11th grade, if they didn't take AP chemistry in 11th and 12th, they have the option to take AP chemistry. And then we also offer organic chemistry and advanced chemistry lab. And as I mentioned, our elective is science and society. The grading policy for modern chemistry is 60% for summative assessments, 15% for classwork, 15% for homework, and we have 10% for labs. You can go to the next slide. Arts education is an area of study that focuses on an introduction to the artistic disciplines and techniques. Our goal in the art department to provide students with the opportunity to learn about the application of art in the classroom. In freshman year, students will have the opportunity to take art appreciation in either the fall or spring term. And then in sophomore, junior, or senior year, students will have the opportunity to take electives such as painting, studio art, mixed media, AP studio art drawing, and comic art. Our students will also have the opportunity to display their artwork during exhibits throughout the school year and participate in the Creative Arts Initiative and the holiday card competition that we run each year. The courses that we offer, again, grade 9 is art appreciation. Grade 10 to 12, students can take painting, studio art, mixed media, studio art drawing, and comic art. For art appreciation, our grading policy, we have 50% for summative assessments, 25% for classwork, and 25% for homework. You can go to the next slide. Music education is an area of study that focuses on an introduction to the music disciplines and techniques. It's our goal of the music department to provide students with an opportunity to learn about the application of music in the classroom. Students will have the opportunity to take and to audition for chorus, band, and orchestra in their freshman year. And then they will be able to apply to take courses such as AP Music Theory in junior or senior year. The band, chorus, and orchestras are a 4-year commitment. So students come in and audition in 9th grade, and then they continue with the program until 12th grade. So we offer concert band, symphonic band, concert band, beginning band, tremble chorus, jazz band, bass chorus, and then we offer symphonic orchestra, intermediate strings, and advanced string. These are just a collection of the types of bands that students can audition for. And then in 11th through 12th grade, students can take AP Music Theory, which is a full year course. They can also select an elective digital storytelling with emerging technology. And if they're not in the music program from 9 to 12, then they will be programmed for music appreciation either in 11th or 12th grade. It's typically 11th grade. They'll be programmed for music appreciation. Music appreciation, the grading policy, we have 60% for summative assessment, 25% for classwork, and 15% for homework. You can go to the next slide. And the last department is technology. Technology education is an area of study that focuses on the process and skills of design and fabrication. It's the goal of the technology department to provide students with the opportunity to learn about the application of technology in the classroom. In sophomore year, students can take either a full year of computer science or 1 term of computer science and 1 term of drafting. In junior year, students can take Introduction to Robotics or Interior Design. Those are called 5 tech courses. And then in senior year, students can take Architecture, Advanced Computer-Aided Design, Principles of Engineering, Advanced Robotics, Woodworking, Video Production, Graphic Arts, Animation, or Ceramics. Those are called 10 tech courses. And then this is the sequence. Again, grade 10, computer science, the student can either take a full year of computer science or they can choose to take 1 term of drafting and 1 term of computer science. Typically, courses such as, such as architecture and interior design, advanced robotics, these are courses that rely heavily on drafting. So we do recommend that if a student plans to take interior design, architecture, or advanced robotics, that they consider taking drafting at some point. They can also take drafting as an elective. So if they want, they can take drafting in 11th grade as an elective if they do decide to take computer science as a full year. For drafting, our grading policy, we have 30% for summative assessment, 15% for classwork, 15% for homework, and then we have 40% for projects and exercises. And then you can go to the next slide. I just have some pictures to show you. So back in 2018, we opened up the Innovation Lab. These are some pictures of the space. So it's a very big room that students use for building things. We have 3D printers, we have laser cutters, we have computers for drafting. What else do we have? We have, I guess we have some fabrication equipment as well. You can go to the next slide. And then this is a picture of some pictures of the robotics lab. We opened the robotics lab in 2022. This is even in bigger room. This is like twice the size of the innovation lab. We have, again, we have some 3D printers, we have laser cutters, we have CNC machine, we have a water jet cutter, we have all sorts of fabrication equipment. We have a little conference room for the students to work in. If you haven't visited the school, I would encourage you to visit the school, take a look at the lab. It's really a pretty nice space for the students to work in. And then you can go to the next slide. This year, we just opened the Media Lab. This is a recording and for audio and video that students can use to make podcasts and songs and movies. We're just in the process of opening this lab to students after school. Hopefully we can do that soon. The hope is that the students can work in the lab making their videos and podcasts after school so that they have time to actually develop some of these projects that they're interested in. And then that's it for me. I'm opening, I can open up for questions.
So, Mr. Thomas, you actually do have some questions that have come in. If a student does not take art or music appreciation in the 9th grade, are they able to take any of the fine art electives without having taken those appreciation courses first?
So it is a requirement to take any of the art electives. You have to take art appreciation. I'm pretty sure that everyone gets scheduled for art. we can check with the program office, but I haven't found a case. I mean, maybe you're aware of a case that students don't take art. But
I
usually,
think that it's because it's alternating art, music, and health, alternating now with junior year. So program office may be giving priority to trying to get one semester of art for everyone in freshman year. Like Mr. Thomas said, we'll have to check on that, but I think that the question is stemming from the alternation that happens with junior year.
right, so.
But they do need the prerequisite, is what the
Right,
answer is.
right, so you need the art appreciation class to take the other art classes, but typically students would take art electives in junior or senior year. So you would still have a year to take art appreciation if you had to do it in sophomore year.
Okay. And another question is whether or not a student can take AP music theory if they have not participated in any music classes. Is that a prerequisite to take the AP course?
I don't think it's a prerequisite, but there is an interview that you have to do. There's like you have to audition for audit for AP music theory, and you have to have an interview with the teacher who teaches it. So yeah, I mean, it would be fine with me if a student has the ability to pass that interview, as long as, as long as he passes the interview, and he would be fine with me to take the class. But that typically doesn't happen. Typically, they're in the music program.
Just shifting to some of your other departments, in technology for the tech courses requirements, are 10th graders allowed to take 3D modeling courses? In grade 10, what tech courses can they pick from?
In 10th grade, I mentioned it earlier, so students can either take a full year of computer science or one term of computer science, one term of drafting. I don't think we have space to allow students to take tech courses in 10th grade. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I think we're somewhat limited. So we only have 2 courses that juniors take: Intro to Robotics and Intro to Robotics and Interior Design. Both of those courses really need the drafting class as a prerequisite. So those would be hard to get into. And then tech is really just for seniors. The 10 tech courses is just open to seniors. We could entertain a student taking it as elective, but we don't have that many seats available to open it up to everyone.
Okay, and then also in chemistry, what are the prerequisites for AP chemistry for taking that course?
I believe it's so we go based on first term chemistry because everyone has first term chemistry. I believe it's I would have to look. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it's something along the lines of 92 for your first term chemistry. But maybe I can respond to you with the correct answer just to be sure later. That's okay.
Yeah, we do have names of people who've asked the question, so that would be fine.
Okay, so I'll email you the correct answer. This way you can respond to them.
Okay, I'm just scanning because they are coming in so quickly before we move on to the next one. If there's any other questions that we could possibly pass to you.
They're always welcome to email me as well if they have questions.
If a sophomore takes a full year of CS, what are the possibilities that they can take also drafting in junior year now that it's either one or? Can they do both?
So they can take drafting as elective. The only problem might be fitting it into their schedule. A lot of students who take a full year of CS elect to take AP CS in junior year, and then they take software development in senior year. So it's fine to take drafting if they can fit it into their schedule. If they can't fit it in, the teachers will work with the students to make sure that they come up to speed during the class. It's not ideal, but we will make sure we can work with them.
Okay. I think that the next presenter, thank you, Mr. Thomas,
You're welcome. Have a great night.
is Mr. Grossman.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. I want to just start by thanking you for the contributions that you've made to the English department. over the years. We don't ask for a lot of big ticket items. Overwhelmingly, what we want is books. Specialized instruction looks different in each department. And in English, it just means being able to teach books that maybe aren't part of the standard New York City curriculum, things that maybe more challenging or unconventional, may represent writers of color, more women writers, and being able to provide books that kids wouldn't get somewhere else, in addition to classics, means a lot. Also, every time we're able to buy books, it means that 3,300 students benefit from it. So we really appreciate it. Thank you. Super briefly, I'm sure you all know that all freshmen take freshman composition. All sophomores take a class called Foundations of Literature. Years ago, that used to be called European Literature. The big difference with Foundations is it's meant to be much more inclusive. It still focuses on classic works of literature, but not just European. Also, there are some more modern things that speak to those classics. By 11th and 12th grade, the options really explode outwards. In most schools, the choices are binary. You can be in the normal class or you can be in the AP class. Stuyvesant doesn't work like that. There are 4 different AP options for juniors and 3 different AP options for seniors. And they're all great classes. But what I care about, what we care about in the English department, is that kids take classes that are good matches for them. There are lots, as you can see on the slide, there are lots of other rigorous, interesting classes, Asian American literature, and existentialism and climate literature, which we're offering for the first time this year. I'm not going to read everything on the slides, but you can see that we're really fortunate to be able to offer courses that rival a mid-sized college. So there are lots of different pathways for students who love English and who also want to communicate to colleges their interest in the subject and their specialty in the subject. Every junior, though, will take at least 1 semester of American literature. Every senior will take at least 1 semester of something that is world literature. It could be writing in the world or existentialism, or a couple of other classes, but we're really trying to balance some consistency and some ability to specialize over those last couple of years. As far as the grading policy goes, like world language, 60% of students' grades are determined by major assessments, which are largely writing assignments, creative, personal, and certainly analytical. In addition to that, 20% of the grade is classwork, 20% of the grade is homework. A lot of the homework is really nightly reading and probably some kind of journal entries or some way of demonstrating that you've done it and that you get it. Classwork, a lot of English classes are very student-centered and discussion-heavy. There are 3 English skills: reading, writing, and speaking. So those are the 3 things that we are going to assess students on. Even, quieter kids, teachers will find ways of pulling them into the discussion. Nobody's going to go through a week without being asked to contribute to an English class. That said, we really do urge and encourage students to find a way to be in the discussion. That is one of the key skills. I don't think I have another slide. Is that true? I'll take that as a yes. But
yes, it is true. It is true. You only have the one slide, and fortunately, there are no questions for the English department.
Amazing. I hope this was helpful. Hope you have a great rest of the night. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Grossman. We're going to advance now and introduce Mr. Moran.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? I want to echo what Mr. Grossman was saying and thank the PA and all of the parents for all of their support with all of our departments, health and phys ed, and the athletics department, especially. Thanks to everyone. So thank you again. For health and physical education, I guess I'll start with phys ed. Phys ed, 70% of our grade is classwork, so less of a focus on assessments, homework, or kind of like the product, and more of the journey. So one of the things that we're looking at when we're assessing students is mastery of the subject. We want to see practice of the subject. So your performance or your ability to do whatever the activity is that you see up on the screen there is less important. We want to see the practice. We want to see the journey and create lifelong learners, people who enjoy all of these different activities and hopefully help create a healthy lifestyle that they'll have these skills and enjoyment of these areas for years to come. Just a quick breakdown of our curriculum for PE. We have during freshman and sophomore year, we call it regular PE, kind of a survey course where they'll take they'll participate in a number of different activities, trying different sports, fitness related activities, dance. We do square dance and different dance routines. And we do have a swim course, a swim requirement at Stuyvesant. So for parents and freshmen, we remember taking that at Camp Sty, take the swim test. So those students that do not meet the proficiency test in swimming do take a beginner level swim class. And then we also offer more of an advanced swimming for upper grades, and then a lifeguard for really advanced and interested students. Terrific opportunity to become a certified lifeguard, which is especially in New York City, an area that really has a deficit, and there are a lot of jobs. It works terrific, especially for students, summer jobs, and there are really pushing to try to certify more lifeguards because there is such a need. And it's something I do believe very strongly in, that all of our students are leaving Stuyvesant with at least the basic skills for swimming, and giving that opportunity and that access that many students in New York City do not have. So it is something that we're very proud of and we work hard to maintain. We also have a beautiful pool, which helps. After sophomore year, junior and senior year is where students really have an opportunity to start to select various selectives, we call them, because they're not quite electives. They're all PE credit courses. But they can start to try out different activities, things that they might be interested in. So we have a number of activities that you can see there. Some of the most unique things that you'll see, not typical to New York City, but we have dance, yoga, rollerblading. We have weight training. Polar bear is a class that goes outside frequently. Most of the time it is running, but they go outside throughout the semesters, including the cold weather. That's why we call it polar bear. We have spinning. We have I'm sorry, I said yoga already, basketball, aerobics, all sorts of different activities that students can select from during junior and senior year. For health is offered for freshman students. It's a 1-semester class that, as I said, we take during freshman year. For, oh, there we go. Thank you, Ms. Ingram. For health, more of a focus on some of the assessments. As you can see there, it's worth 40% of your grade. But our tests, quizzes, projects, we have more of a focus on group work, presentations, public speaking, working together, working collaboratively. So less of a focus on written tests and more trying to work on some of those social emotional skills that are so important for our students. And so our health team does do a lot of work in trying to bring that out in students through their assessments, through the work and the classwork that they make. So again, that is also an important part of our grading, is the classwork and participation. We want to see students taking risks, working together, communicating, working on all of those skills that we all know are so important to being successful in life. So those are some of the focuses that we have, and then obviously the different units of instruction, everything from sexual health, family dynamics, the social emotional learning and growth, all of the things that are necessary to be successful, to have an understanding of some of these things, and our teachers work very hard to keep that interesting. We have a lot of presentations and groups coming in. Just this past week, we had American Red Cross teaching our freshmen hands-only CPR. So hopefully, as part of that, they came home and talked to some of you about those skills along the lines of lifeguarding. Having people who are trained or have knowledge in those life-saving type of techniques is just a great skill and crucial, and we wanted to help kind of build that by having students go home and talk about it. So it is a mandated part of the curriculum, and kind of a great thing to see students practicing something that is bigger than themselves, that's to help the community, help their families, and a lot of those are the types of things that we will be doing in health class. Miss Ingram, do we have any questions for health and PE?
Yes, we do actually. And I know you answer this question every year at this presentation, so you're well prepared for it. Are student athletes allowed to opt out of PE?
The short answer is no. The reason that I like to give is we don't take our best math or English students and tell them they don't have to take math or English. I think that student athletes should take leadership positions within physical education. I think that many of the skills and things that, if we maybe go back a slide, Miss Ingram, that we work so hard to bring all of these great programs to our students. They're not going to be exposed to all of these things in any of the sports or activities that they're engaged in. A lot of times that's a very narrow focus. That's one activity or one sport that they're focused on, that they're training in. And it might not be a lifelong activity. Principal Yu and myself will tell you, we would have loved to play football for 20 years, but after high school, football is over for most of us. And that's the case with most sports. But learning yoga or swimming or dance or weight training skills, those are things that you can take with you for your whole life, and are just as important as any of the other skills that we're learning in other subjects. So no, we do not allow credit for participation in outside or PSAL athletics. And next question.
Thank you, Mr. Moran. So can a 10th grade student sign up for lifeguard classes in the spring semester?
Yes, absolutely yes. As long as they have turned 15. The most important thing for lifeguarding is that they have the the skill base to be able to pass the lifeguard certification test. We will take students who have some skills, and our lifeguard coaches will work with them, tutoring, trying to, but it really is, there are so many skills and things that they have to learn that it's hard to also build the swimming strength that it takes to be that strong of a swimmer to become a certified lifeguard. So you do have to have some skills and some swimming strength background before getting into that class. What we would typically do if the student or parent is not sure, they should go talk to one of our swim teachers. It's Miss Choi, Miss Luchek, or Mr. Bologna, and they will test them. They will throw them in the pool and see if they have that base skill level to be able to pass the class. It is also okay to take the class and not become certified. If for whatever reason the student isn't able to meet the physical requirement, they can still get the PE credit. They would just not become a certified lifeguard.
So just to clarify, because that is part of this question, if they are in the lifeguarding class, that counts as their PE course that semester, and they do get the credit, whether or not they certify.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. And now for all PE classes, they are not averaged into the GPA, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. One last one, or there might be a couple more before we let you go. Can juniors and seniors take 2 semesters of the same PE course? For example, like, can I take yoga again? Do I have to
Yeah,
take
so
different ones?
yes, you can take a course up to 2 times. So if you are a junior and you take yoga twice, you will have to take something else as a senior. The idea is we do want them to try different activities, but we do have, for example, a ballroom is 2 different courses, semester 1, semester 2. So ballroom you could take twice. It will be different dances that you're learning, different activities that you're learning. But if you were interested in weight training, you can only take it twice. If you were interested in any of the other activities, we only max out at taking the same class twice.
Okay, and then for someone who wants to continue taking swimming classes, like after the 9th grade, can they take that again, or can you only take swimming once?
Yes, you can. We will typically, depending on our availability, and each year the schedule is a little bit different based on how many beginner level classes we have to schedule. But we will typically offer a 10th grade or 11th grade regular swim class, which students can take. If a student in the beginning level swim class, if there's a need, if the teacher or if the student indicates that, maybe they've improved their skills, but they're still working towards becoming a proficient swimmer, we will give them the opportunity to take swimming a second time. But as far as the number of courses that we're able to offer each semester, it varies. But that's, if an individual student is looking to add a swim class, I'm always willing to work with them if it fits into their schedule.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moran. And I think now we're going to move on. Miss Suri is next. And Miss Suri, are you
Yes, I'm
able-
here. Hi,
There you
good
go.
evening. I'll focus on the courses after the 9th grade. Beginning in the 10th grade, we have a couple of options for students. They could take the 2nd year of the required global studies course. The 9th grade courses cover, both of those 9th grade courses cover the requirement for the 1st year of global studies. And the options we have for rising sophomores are advanced placement world history and advanced placement European history. All 3 courses, global, AP World, AP Euro, culminate with the Global Studies Regents exam. All those students will be prepared and will take that in June. In order to be eligible for the advanced placement courses, students need to have a 91 grade in their Global Studies class on the January report card. That doesn't guarantee placement, but it does qualify you for the class. Placement then becomes dependent on the number of courses that we can run. And then it'll be, students will be ranked by their grade. So for example, if we only have enough courses, sometimes we have to cut the grade point off at 92. In which case students can go on a wait list, and then sometimes students drop and we go down the line according to their grade on the January report card. In the junior year, we have a couple of different options as well. United States history with the Regents exam is a New York State requirement. We have an advanced placement offering for that class. If students took United States history with the Regents or with the waived Regents, if it was during COVID, this class is not required for them, but many students still are interested in taking the AP United States history class, and then they just don't have to repeat the Regents exam. And similarly to the AP World and European History, it's a 91 grade, but this time it's cumulative. So it would be for the juniors, it would be your 9th grade and your 10th grade and your fall semester. Sorry, it would be your 9th grade and your fall semester of 10th grade class to qualify you. So we would use those grades to come to the 91. For the senior year, the New York State requirement is a semester of economics and a semester of United States government. And we do allow juniors to take those courses in their junior year if they took United States history with the Regents in 8th grade. So if there is room, they can accelerate if they wish to. You don't have to do that. Students could, with that course already in grade 8, could wait, and they don't have to take a social studies class. If they don't want to, they could take it in senior year. So we do have advanced placement in economics, both macroeconomics and microeconomics, as well as United States government. The microeconomics class, if students are interested in that, that is only offered in the spring term, and macroeconomics is a prerequisite. So they would just want to plan ahead a little bit if they are interested in microeconomics. We do require macro first. Sometimes our juniors who are accelerated are interested in this class as well. But we really almost rarely can accommodate them. It's just a very popular class. And so I really reserve those seats for the seniors, always get priority because the juniors have a chance to take it the next year. Could I have the next slide, please? We have a number of electives. I'm only listing the electives for the spring term. We have some of the same ones and some different ones for the fall term, but these are electives that your students could register as soon as the spring registrations opens up. Many of these are available just for 11th and 12th graders, with the exception of the Spanish Civil War course is open to sophomores. That's in the spring term. Some of our elective courses are advanced placement, and one of those is advanced placement comparative government. That is different from United States government. The United States government is a requirement. This comparative politics class is an elective course. Again, for our AP classes and the electives as well, it's a 91 course average in social studies is required. We also have an elective, which is a year-long elective in psychology, and also AP African American Studies. And that can be taken simultaneously with United States history if a junior wishes to take it. In terms of our grading policy, it is the same for each course. but it varies depending on the course. So the advanced placement world history classes all have the same grading rubric, and the ninth grade global studies also have this their own rubric, but it would be different from the AP world history rubric. So it's just consistent across course code. And we do have tutoring in some of our courses as well for advanced placement. Could I have the next slide, please? I also supervise research at Stuyvesant, and our research program begins in the 10th grade, although there are opportunities for students to enter into research beginning in the 9th grade with a Friday class after school offered by Mr. Economy. It is like a club. It's really a club where the students learn research skills. So students can start that now if they're interested. But in terms of coursework and more formal training, it begins in the 10th grade, where we have a general research class for students in all kinds of different STEM fields. And we also have a separate class called molecular biology, which is it's a year-long course geared for students who are particularly interested in biology research. Both of these courses are year-long courses, and we attempt to find mentors for the students. And so while it's not required, but the students may be doing work depending on their field of interest in a lab over a summer. Generally, that's the summer between junior and senior year, but sometimes students enjoy trying to get a position between their sophomore and junior year. And the teachers of both classes help the students with that process. And very often the students find the mentors on their own, but the faculty assist them in that process. Then in the junior year, it splits off a little bit. We offer a social science research course, and students who did not have the 10th grade class could still join the social science research course. It is a year-long course as well, and it culminates, actually it's a 3-semester course. The senior year is the culminating semester for the social science research class. Generally, students in that class use data that is pre-existing. There's data available for them to work with. And they sometimes are doing field work, although it's very difficult to use human subjects. So we kind of discourage it because of many of the regulations surrounding that. But in that class, students not as often need to work during the summer. But I would say if they're doing the STEM, junior year STEM research, generally they will be in a lab and very often working at some part of the time during the summer between junior and senior year. It's not required, but it's the kind of thing that if students are drawn to that, that is something many of them will do. So for the STEM research, the junior year, that while we have our teachers for it, are really biology teachers, we try to help students in other fields in chemistry or physics and math and computer science if we're able to. But at this point, the actual teacher for the course is trained in biology. The senior year, the students then will have both courses have a fall term where they'll be submitting their papers in a number of different competitions and contests. And the classes don't continue the spring term of senior year. Again, students can enter the program at different points if they're very interested in research and they're in 10th grade and it's spring term. While they can't register through Talos for it, they would speak to me or Dr. Tu or Mr. Economy, one of the people involved in research, to see how we can assist them and if it's a good fit for them to join the class or even to work independently. Our research teachers have office hours and try to support students when, for whatever reason, sometimes because of particular programming, they can't take the research class. So we do try to support them as best we can. And I think that's the last slide for research. And I'm ready for any questions.
Ms. Surrey, yes. So we had several questions that really kind of revolve around the AP micro, macro, and economics questions. So one, we'll start off with an easy one. Is it possible for any juniors to get into AP economics, or is it only for seniors?
It's rare. I would say that that they should put another AP selection. It's, you know, sometimes in the first round, I will almost never pick a junior because I just have too many seniors. So I advise and I think even last year we didn't even make it an offering because I didn't want juniors to waste a slot. But on occasion, we have been able to accommodate juniors. If there's room in the class and no more senior wants the class. So it's possible, but it's, again, the seniors get priority.
Okay. Are students who are enrolled in AP Macro in the fall automatically scheduled for AP CompGov in the spring? Is that a lottery or is it macro, micro? There's a lot of confusion around this.
It is complicated. So the state requirement is 1 semester of economics and 1 semester of United States government. So students can take advanced placement in 1 semester of macroeconomics and 1 semester of AP government, if that is something that they want. And they'll be macro, we only offer in the fall. The AP government is sometimes in the fall. They'll have it both doubled up, or it'll be in the spring. We offer it both fall and spring term. So microeconomics and comparative politics, those are elective courses. And so when they register they'll be registering, well, for students that are seniors right now, some of them already selected their courses in the spring, but we have this next round. We are this year, so I kind of misspoke a little bit. This year, we are going to offer macro if a student for the spring term, that will only be for seniors, that if they didn't get a chance because we were so over enrolled in the fall. So normally we don't do that. We are doing that this year. Then that's just something that seniors could consider. And then microeconomics, they could have a chance now to register for it, but a lot of them already registered in the spring. So you can, when Talos, the options on Talos for students, and I'm sorry, this is a little bit confusing. When you see it on Talos, you can sign up for just macroeconomics or macro and micro. That would be an option you'd have in the spring term. Right now, fall term, if you're a senior, because we were so over enrolled, you'll have an option to take, if you're in macro and you didn't sign up for micro, you have that option to take that course. If you're in regular government or AP government, or even economics, you can take AP macro as an option. If you've already had economics, it would be an elective because you'll be already fulfilled the economics requirement. But if you hadn't had economics yet, you could take AP macro, that would fulfill the requirement. So so those are so it is a little bit confusing. It's just I think the most important thing to remember is AP micro and AP comparative politics. Those are elective courses. You take those in addition to either macro or government, AP government, as additional courses.
Okay. So if does a student take an economics course if they already passed AP economics? Does the AP economics?
You mean the exam or a course?
Requirement?
So some of our students come in and have taken the AP exam, like in a John Hopkins advanced program or something like that. But that does not, they still have to, it's New York State requirement. They have to take the course in high school, either economics or AP economics at our school, regardless if they've passed an AP exam.
Okay. And is African American Studies 1 or 2 semesters? Is it a full year course?
It's a full year course.
Okay. And can you take that as your history course? You cannot take 2 history courses, correct?
Well, no, you could. So you could take it as, it's an elective. So you would take, I mean, United States history is required. So you could take, if you had room in your program, you're a junior, you could take United States history and AP African American Studies. Or if you took United States history in 8th grade with the Regents, maybe that would be the class that you would want to take your junior year, or you could take it senior year as an elective.
Okay. One more social studies question, then a couple of research ones. If you've taken, the US history Regents in middle school and now you've done 3 years, are you required to take a 4th year at Stuyvesant of social studies? Do you have to take a senior year social studies course?
No, you just need to fulfill the state requirement, which is 1 semester of economics, 1 semester of government, a year of United States history with the Regents, and 2 years of global history. And one of those culminates with the Global Studies Regents.
Okay, so now for some research questions. Can students take social science research in their senior year without having taken a prior research course?
Yes, they can. It's with normally the first semester senior year, students are finishing up their projects to submit to various contests. So if a student, we've had that before, a student has done work on their own and they couldn't fit the course into their program, they can join the class senior year and get assistance from our fabulous social science research teacher, Ms. Schweitzer, to finish their projects. And she really teaches them, it's a very much of a college level social science research class. They learn the methods of statistical analysis and social science research. So it's an excellent course.
Okay, and just in the interest of time, because we still have 2 more subjects to present on, I'll just ask one more research question. Can a junior enter the STEM science research class for spring semester, or is it a year-long class?
They can, but it won't be offered on Talos. They'd have to email me, Dr. Tu, and we'd have to have a conversation about if it would be a good fit for them to join the class.
Okay.
Just to make sure that it's something that makes sense for them.
All right, thank you, Ms. Surrey. We will try
Okay.
to get to some more of the questions in the Q&A either tonight or we'll review them because I know there was a few more. Our
Okay.
next presenter is Ms. Prabhu. So we welcome Ms. Prabhu.
Folks, good evening. How are you? Thank you so much for giving us a few minutes just to kind of go over our different departments, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end. To give you a quick overview for computer science, our students start computer science during their sophomore year, and they take either 1 or 2 terms based on their preference. They rank what they would like to take. From there, during junior year, they can move on to, if they want to, move on to AP Computer Science or Next CS. And then for post AP or post Next CS, we have a number of different electives for students. Students really only have to take 1 term, but if they want to take up to 6 terms, they are welcome to. We have a lot of different supports for students, including something called the CS Dojo. It's very similar to after school tutoring, and it is led by a group of students, and there is a supervising teacher there as well. And that's on Monday through Thursday. So students have a lot of different outreach. And you'll see here for, I know a lot of students apply for AP Computer Science A, and we do have a subject GPA cutoff. And it differs depending on if they're in a single term or a full term. So it's a 92 or a 95 cutoff. But we also take into account, how high did they rank the course, and just how they've done in their other classes as well. The grading breakdown is there across, it's consistent across the computer science department. Thank you. And then the other departments that I supervise, biology and physics. So we have some core courses that are offered in 9th and 11th grade. In 9th grade, all students take either modern biology or AP biology. The grade breakdown is somewhat similar across all of our science Regents classes. All juniors will take Regents physics. There's select few students who opt out of physics, but majority of students will take Regents physics in their junior year. You can see here listed, we have a number of different after-school tutoring. If any students are struggling or if they just want to have a group of students with a supervising and certified teacher to kind of review any of the content or anything that they may want to review. And the most fun part of the biology and physics where we get a lot of support from you, the parents. So thank you so very much. We have so many fun electives with a lot of huge lab opportunities. I won't read these to you. We alternate through these different electives. We don't offer them every term or every year. A lot of it has to do with staffing, availability, and student interest as well. And you can see on the bottom right, all of our different AP courses and the different grades that they're available to. And we have been shifting these slowly over the years, but you can see there's some consistency there. AP Biology grades 9, 11, 12, AP Environmental grades 10 through 12, so on and so forth. Students rank these in Talos, and then based on their preferences, we try to give students, things that they rank very highly, and we fill the courses until they're full. What I mean is, if we say that the cutoff for a course is a 92 science average, and your child has a 91, if there's a seat available, we're happy to put the student in. It's not an absolute barrier, but we do use the grades as a preference, but it is not necessarily a deal breaker for us. If we have seats, we want students to take the courses they're interested in. And finally, our brand new hydroponics lab, we just opened it this fall. The classroom side is open. We actually had the head of NOAA, who's a STI alum, come visit us this year and speak to our students. And the lab side has coral reef tanks, hydroponic gardens, and it's going to be really wonderful. Students will be able to do sustained research projects in that lab. And I think we're up to questions. Is that correct, Ms. Ingrid?
Yes. Yeah, I was just about to start with some questions. We'll start with some CS questions. This one we get a lot, and just theoretically, a student who's signed up for the CS, the computer science for the 2-semester course, is it possible that they change their mind? Can they drop it to just them taking the 1-semester course?
They can. The one thing I will note is it really depends on if we have enough seats in drafting. If we don't have enough seats in drafting, the student will stay in the annual year-long course. But we do our best. We usually are able to balance the number of students who want to drop. And sometimes a lot of students take the 1st semester, love it, and then they want to add the 2nd semester. So we're able to usually balance it pretty well, but it really depends on just space. But yes, we can.
Okay. Is it true that to qualify for APCS that you also need a letter of recommendation from a teacher or a specific subject department? What is the qualifications for APCS?
They do not need a recommendation letter. We do take a look though at the number of sections a teacher has, and we try to distribute it across, meaning we don't want, if one teacher maybe grades a slightly different way than another, we wouldn't want the students with those higher GPAs to be skewed into the APCS class. So we do take a look at distributing it across a number of different teachers, so that it doesn't get skewed to one teacher. But we don't necessarily, the students don't have to get a letter of recommendation or anything like that.
If a sophomore wants to take APCS, is there other criteria, or is this only available to juniors?
For the most part, it's only available to juniors. It's very rare that we have, a student who maybe has already taken APCS. We do work with the coordinator of computer science. He basically has like a little assessment he'll do with students. So have your child email me. I'll put them in touch with the coordinator who can do the assessment. Because if students are really, really gifted, we can figure out a way if there's room. But a lot of times there isn't. A lot of times the demand is so high for juniors, and we want to make sure they have that foundations course because it really sets them up. It's not just about learning a coding language, but it's about a way of thinking. And we really want students to have this very flexible thinking so that they can kind of take that to not just computer science classes, but science classes across the board.
Okay, and one more CS question, and then we'll move to physics. Are there any new CS electives being offered besides CS ethics?
That's our new one for this year. We don't have any new for this year. We are trying to do a few for next semester, but again, it's really just based on space and programming needs. We do it based on demand. So if we have enough demand, we might be able to add a few, but right now we're pretty tapped out with our electives in CS.
Okay, and then for physics, I had a question of what years AP Physics are, like what years are they offered to the students?
AP Physics is offered during grade 12 because students will have already taken Regents Physics in grade 11, and that is a prerequisite to take those courses. So AP Physics 1 and C are full of all seniors.
So if a student gets a 5 on an AP Physics 1 exam, can they move on to AP Physics C in their junior year?
They wouldn't take, I mean, unless they're taking it outside of Stuyvesant, or as an exception, we can take a look, but there's really, really high demand for AP Physics C. It's unlikely.
Okay, and now for bio, how does the AP Bio tutoring work?
So that's after school with Miss Maggio. Students usually go there with their specific questions. All of the teachers are teaching their units around the same pacing. So they should be able, so if I'm doing cellular respiration in my classroom and they go to tutoring with Miss Maggio, then she would be around the same point and able to provide support to students.
Okay, and one last question. Since students are required to take science for 4 years, can they take electives to fulfill the 4-year requirement? Does it have to be the core courses or AP courses?
So every student needs at least the life science regents from biology and one from physical science, chemistry or physics. But from there, they can just take any electives that they're interested in. They don't have to take AP science classes. There's a lot of different options. That being said, most students take a lot of their science electives before they're even seniors. I would say the majority of classes are filled with really excited sophomores and juniors. So a lot of students get those credits before they even hit senior year. But they do have the opportunity to take it anywhere between sophomore and senior year.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our last presenter. I know there are a couple more questions in the Q&A, and maybe the APs will be typing in some answers for you, but we'll introduce Mr. Smith with our math department.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I do apologize because I was having some technical issues, so my camera is not working. So unfortunately, you just see the black rectangle on your screen. Nonetheless, I'm going to go through some information about the mathematics department, and as the other APs have done, answer some questions at the end. So as you can see on the slide, the grading policy for the math department, 70% summative assessments and 15% each for homework and classwork. This is standard across the board from 9th grade geometry all the way through the post-AP electives. The only exception are the math team courses, but as those are pass-fail, they have a little bit of a different breakdown because they don't necessarily give summative assessments and homework in the same way that, let's say, a traditional math class would. Any math class that has a numerical grade at the end follows that 70-15-15 grade breakdown. Similar to bio, we have peer tutoring that's available for students. Excuse me, not bio, CS. For geometry and AP calculus, we have partnered with Mu Alpha Theta, which is the Math Honor Society. It's a nationwide organization. And upperclassmen in the Math Honor Society are doing peer tutoring for geometry and AP calculus students. We have math teachers doing AIS, after-school tutoring, for Algebra 2 and pre-calculus. So the 4 subjects that are, say, most popular or who have the largest enrollment have after-school available or after-school tutoring available, either peer tutoring or with teachers. Because I know you've received a lot of information tonight about all the different departments, I have tried as best as I could to kind of consolidate everything that you need to know about the math department in that particular diagram. So similar to foreign language, we don't have courses assigned to specific years because, again, like foreign language, it depends on students' prior experience and skill level coming from middle school or any other extracurricular activities they may have participated in. What's important to look at with regard to math department programming is each level in that flow chart that you see on the slide. So each row or level corresponds to 1 year of study. So you can see geometry on one level, algebra 2, the following level, pre-calculus after that. And depending on students' experiences from middle school and the course that they end up taking in ninth grade, you can see how a 4-year kind of trajectory may map out for each individual student. The pathway that you see described in that flowchart is, say, the general or most common pathway. In addition to those core courses, you see additional electives also offered on the screen. I've already mentioned Math Team, but AP Statistics is obviously another popular option for students. I know I got a question in advance about the role that AP Statistics can play in math programming. So I will do my best to summarize. It isn't in that flowchart simply because it does deviate slightly from, let's say, a traditional progression from algebra to pre-calculus to calculus. The specific question was whether or not a junior in AP Calculus could then take AP Statistics as a senior to satisfy the 4-year requirement. The answer, of course, is yes. Whether or not a student should take a post-AP elective or AP Statistics is really a college counseling question and is most appropriately answered considering what the student's plans are for post-secondary study. Because Ms. Suri talked about research opportunities, obviously if there's a student interested in research, AP Statistics is a fantastic option. Students who might be interested in more of a STEM field like engineering, computer science, pure math, etc., may find it more beneficial to take something like multi or linear algebra, assuming, of course, they have satisfied the AP Calculus prerequisite in advance. The other thing that I wanted to point out, because I know it's a common question, is how students get into honors in certain AP classes. So while it may look confusing that there are these arrows crisscrossing from one level to the next, the major idea there is for people to understand that the honors courses and the honors track is never fixed. In the spring, when students are requesting courses for the following year, they can always indicate their interest in, let's say, for example, Algebra 2 honors. Based on students' interests for that course, we then look at the students' grades, the students' exam scores for the uniform exams that we administer, the Regents exam scores, and teacher recommendation. So it takes into consideration both qualitative and quantitative data points. What do the teachers have to say about their students in terms of their daily performance, abstract thinking, creativity, problem-solving ability, etc., as well as the numbers themselves, grades and exam scores. At the end of every semester, I also ask teachers for their recommendations, because even though we factor in multiple data points, sometimes that still doesn't tell us the complete story, and we do allow for movement both in and out of honors courses, even in the middle of the school year. So if your child, for example, is in non-honors geometry as a freshman in the fall, there is the possibility that they can move to honors geometry in the spring semester, depending on, again, teacher recommendation and movement both in and out of honors courses. The other option that I wanted to mention, because it also came up, is the double period course that combines pre-calculus honors and AP Calculus BC. That course goes to students who are currently in Algebra 2 honors, because Algebra 2 honors supplements the state standards with additional content. And that additional content is precisely what allows students to move somewhat seamlessly into the double period pre-calc honors and AP Calculus BC course. Okay. Finally, for those students who don't necessarily love math as much as everyone else, and who may not want an AP math option, there is a 4th-year option that is half a year of personal finance and half a year of calculus applications. So it's not aligned to any particular AP course or state standards. Both of those courses are designed in-house, and they take one in the fall, one in the spring, and they alternate. They may have finance in the fall and calculus apps in the spring, or vice versa. But we went with a half year of calculus simply because it does play such an important role in many different post-secondary courses of study. Those were just the things that I specifically wanted to kind of draw your attention to, but I'm sure, Ms. Ingram, there are other questions.
Yes, there are. So several questions. Is multivariable calculus and linear algebra full year courses? Simple one to start with.
Yes, they are both full year courses.
Okay, and does every senior who is interested get a spot in calculus? If it's not BC, then at least AB? Or is there a chance they will not get calculus at all?
Students who select BC during course selection but do not get a seat in BC are automatically added to my list for AP Calculus AB. So there is no need to request both. If the student's first choice is BC but there is no seat for them, I automatically add them to the AB list because presumably they want a calculus course of some kind. There are students who may request AP Calculus AB but don't necessarily have the grades, in which case I can also consider them for AP Statistics. So it's not necessarily the case where students would automatically get an AP Calculus course. There may be times where AP Statistics is a better option. And like I said, for the handful of students, there are kind of just two sections. So we're talking 68 seniors in the entire graduating class who might benefit more from the personal finance calc apps course. But by and large, there are 10 BC classes, 9 AB classes. So 19 sections of AP Calculus will kind of get almost everyone into an AP Calculus course.
Okay, can seniors take both AP Calc, whether it's A or B, AB or BC? And in addition to that, linear algebra, can they take both at the same time?
No, AP Calculus is a prerequisite course for linear algebra. So they wouldn't be able to take calculus and linear algebra concurrently. Because I know this question may also have popped up about taking calc and stats concurrently or a post-AP elective and AP stats concurrently, the answer theoretically is yes. But as the principal and other assistant principals have mentioned, this would be contingent upon seat availability. Our first priority is to ensure that everyone has one math class. And then during program changes, if there are seats and students would like to take an additional math class, they can submit the request and we will fill the classes as much as we possibly can.
Okay. And now for placement in math APs, are CS grades considered in math placement?
No. So even if you are looking at your child's report card and you see the CS classes beginning with the letter M, in the official system, they are considered math courses. But when I get all of the GPA information and the biographical information for each student, we get it without the computer science courses factored in. So we're only looking at the pure math courses when determining honors and AP placement.
Okay, and so we require 4 years of math. If a student is doubling up in math and has 2 years, 2 math courses in a year, does that count as 2 years of math?
So 4
Easier.
years of math, yeah, for the STI diploma does include Algebra 1 in 8th grade, assuming, of course, that students have taken that in 8th grade, which most of them have. So Geometry, Algebra 2, and AP Pre-Calculus as the next 3 core courses, combined with Algebra 1, would constitute 4 years of math courses to qualify for the STI diploma. If the question is whether or not they would then have to take a course senior year, they wouldn't have to satisfy the 4-year requirement. Now, obviously, this could have implications for college applications and post-secondary study. So we, of course, would recommend that they continue to take math courses during all 4 years at STI. But it has never really been a situation where a student has taken 2 classes as a junior, satisfied the 4-year requirements, and then has decided to stop. I can't think of a single student in my 7 years at STI that has done that, because by and large, any student at that level who is going to be competitive for college would continue taking a math class in 12th grade as well. In terms of basic credit requirements for graduation, 3 years for the minimum diploma requirement, 4 years including 8th grade Algebra 1 for the STI diploma, and then technically on paper they would be done.
Okay, and one more math question. Can students, is there a chance to get into math team after the first semester of 9th grade?
Yes. So in addition to the weekly extracurricular math team activity, which does practices on Fridays, the student should have also taken the AMC and looking at performance on the AMC as well as their performance with the after-school math team. There can be programming decisions that allow for students to move in the spring term, or most likely, just given the complexity of programming, for the fall of 10th grade.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. I know that there are several other math questions in the Q&A. I know that Mr. Smith can quickly type up some answers in there while we're still on the line because we are not done yet. I know that it's 8:20. You've been with us for a little long time, and this is a lot of information. We appreciate you hanging on. I know that the Parent Association has just a few things to present to you. But I want to thank all of our presenters tonight and our interpreters who've interpreted so far. Like I said, we're still going to be on the line with the Parent Association with some really important information. I know that there are some general questions too. I want to point out that we do have a course catalog available that you can see on Talos along the left-hand side. If you choose course catalog, you can see prerequisites there. For any course, you can also see what the averages, the GPAs that are needed for those courses. So we have a lot of questions on that, but the information is right there in Talos for you if you didn't get your answer tonight through this presentation. So we're going to stop sharing our screen and we're going to have the PA come and take over so that they can give you some more important information tonight.
Thank you so much, Dina. Thank you to all of the APs. This is something I know we all really look forward to every year. My son's a junior, but I still learn something every time I listen. And I'm always amazed at how many classes and options and opportunities there are. I mean, it's really something to behold and be grateful for. I don't know how he's going to make choices for his senior year. I think he's going to want to choose 12 classes, but we'll figure that out later. It's really something that we should be so happy that our children have so many choices and our teachers work so hard. You can see this, you can see how they stay with us and answer questions. Tonight, I think our admin answered over 100 questions. So everyone's working really hard in the background to support the students, and we are tremendously grateful for that. So I want to make sure to express that. Do stay on. I only have a few quick announcements. I know everyone is super busy. I do want to acknowledge that it's been a very busy time for everybody and an eventful time. We had the elections this month, and I know that's impacted everyone in many different ways. And I just want to note that it's a lot for the parents, it's a lot for the students and the administration. One thing that we all are here for and we all agree on is that education is part of the answer. And I'm so happy that you're here because you're showing that education matters. We know how much you love your children. We all love our children. And by coming here and taking part and doing what we can to support our children, we're all working together. And that's really beautiful and important. On that note, for the love of our faculty, I wanted to quickly mention we have our annual faculty reception coming up. And that's something that we do every year during the parent-teacher conferences. So hopefully you guys today got your schedules for your conferences. And that Friday, faculty has conferences in the afternoon. So what we like to do is to feed them a lovely lunch to show our appreciation for all that they do. And we have volunteers that have signed up to do that. You're always welcome to volunteer. We've also asked parents to send in baked goods. Many of you already have. We still have some slots. That is always a key part of our presentation because it's such a showing of love and care. And really a lot of our families send in desserts from all over, from their cultures, from their backgrounds. And so it really adds to the event. So in a minute, I'm going to share my screen to make sure you guys know. You should have seen a link in our newsletter and Dina's newsletter on our website. Our website is very up to date and we revamped it this year with our amazing webmaster, Yao. So we have a blog running on our homepage that has all the things that are coming up. So please do keep checking in on that. But you can find the link there to send in the baked goods. A quick note also that we have our voting open right now. So Cassandra mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, please take a quick look to vote on our minutes and our financials. Some of you have, so we're getting there, but please do submit your vote. The link is in the chat. And on the note of appreciation and being a strong community, I want to share for all of those that did attend, but all of those who didn't. We had our first multicultural event this past weekend, two weekends ago, and it was So lovely, so beautiful. If you haven't had a chance, take a look in our newsletter. We write about it there. We also have a link to pictures. I can't even tell you, if you were there, you know, it was so joyful and filling for the hearts and for the bellies. Parents got to taste an assortment of flavors from all around the world, so beautifully presented because we invited parents, guardians, families, outreach chairs to bring food from their cultures. Our amazing outreach chairs worked overtime to plan this, to present a beautiful array of cuisines, and then also to plan for entertainment. And it certainly was not comprehensive because we have so many amazing, talented clubs and different artists at STI, but we had a really cool flavor for what the Stuyvesant community has. Dina always says we have over 40 languages. We have so much to learn from each other. So we were treated to beautiful jazz music. There was violin and trumpet. People brought clothes that we could try on from their culture. I got to wear a beautiful kimono that I didn't want to give back. There was a super fun Indian dancing with a lesson. So we all got down to that. That was really fun. And if you were there, you just felt the love for our community and you got to learn a lot about what other cultures had to offer. And you got a sense of that there's so much that everybody brings to the table, and then that there's also so much that we have in common. And it was just like in a time when we needed it, I think it was a really nice way to emphasize how special our community is. So we're going to keep up with this tradition, and we really hope that more of you can join. We'll keep you posted on when the next ones will be. But it's really like a really important part of what we do is get us all together. We also, this past weekend, I wanted to shout out the Diwali team, the Indian outreach team. Had a beautiful presentation. They shared the Diwali holiday with us. We were all invited. So if anybody who wanted to come was invited to a restaurant to experience the holiday, learn about it. I learned a lot about it. Again, dance, which was so joyful and fun. So keep your eyes out in our newsletter for all of these opportunities. We are constantly offering ways to learn about our community and to celebrate together. I wanted to point out there are 2 newsletters. I think people are still a little bit confused. Dina Ingram, our business manager, sends out a newsletter every Monday, chock full of information. I say chock full, but actually it's very quick to read. It's summarized at the top. You can jump down to what you need to know. I challenge you, you can get it in at 5 minutes. But everything you want to know, many of the questions that people send in are answered in that newsletter. And then the PA sends a newsletter on Sunday. We replicate some things that we just think are so super important that we want to make sure you know, but for the most part, it's different content, and it's what the PA is working on. Everything that you want to know is in there, and I urge you to make sure you're reading both of our newsletters. Something that came up as well, back to our hardworking teachers, we have an opportunity, the students have an opportunity to go to Costa Rica. And it sounds like an amazing trip. STI offers these trips for students. The deadline was extended to sign up for it. The deadline is now November 22nd. I'm actually going to share my screen real quick because I do want to make sure that you guys know. Can I share? Let me try. How to find us. I'm going to do multiple panels. Let's see. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to share my screen, but it doesn't matter. Go to our STI-PA website. Hopefully you all know where it is. Right on the homepage, you'll be able to see more information on the Costa Rica trip. You can also do that from our newsletter. But it sounds like a lot of fun. It's going to be chaperoned by teachers. The cost is about $3,800, but I think that there are partial scholarships for those who need it. So for now, you just need to complete a survey so that the school is aware of who wants to go. And then hopefully we have enough students signed up. We almost have enough. So hopefully a few more will sign up, and then all can take advantage of this amazing opportunity here. It's so much fun and so educational at the same time. I also want to make sure that you guys know about our raffle, which we have right here. It sounds like such a fun night. It's a deal. You only have to spend $20 to get 1 raffle ticket, or you can pay $100 for 6 raffle tickets, but it is the hot new show on Broadway. It's such a fun show. It's going to run from December 11th to February 16th. So you could also win this and then give it as a gift to someone you really, really, really love, or just keep it for yourself. It's by the creator of SNL, Lorne Michaels, and it has an amazing cast and people involved in it. Just to name a few: Jimmy Fallon, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Don't hesitate. Buy your tickets now. Like, go in right now, buy your tickets on our website, because by our next meeting, which will be December 10th, we're gonna have a virtual PA meeting. We're gonna have the raffle, and some lucky winner could be you. And I have to share a secret that we haven't had that many people buy the raffle tickets. So currently your chances are pretty good. So get in there and try, because it would be really fun if you won. My last note, and then I'm going to hand it over to Ken, who will fill us in on our financials. And you'll see from Ken's financials, it just can't be said enough. I know Cassandra said a little bit as well. We do really want to highlight that we're only at 40% in our annual appeal collection. It's something that happens during election year. It's a concern across the board. But it's a concern for us because, you know, you guys heard, I really appreciated Mr. Grossman mentioned it, Mr. Moran as well. So many critical items for the teachers are funded through the help of the PA. We just had our appropriation cycle, and you look through and it's amazing all the things that the teachers are working so hard to provide that we pay for, and we are paid for this year, but all of those things will not be able to be paid for next year if we don't collect for our budget. We also know that we have an increase in low-income families this year. We wanted to say, we by no means want to cause a strain on anyone. We appreciate any donation. I mean, $200 goes a really long way for us. It pays for many important things. So anything that a family sends is so appreciated and so valued. And families who can give more, maybe you've been giving other things, do know that we do make such good use with your donations. A few families have started coming back and donating more. We are so grateful for that. And we promise you that that goes really far. So anybody who can go online right now and make another donation, it would be huge. It would be really appreciated. And it is, you know, we are the future. So what you're putting in is very good news. With that, on that note, but please put your vote in for our approvals, and I will hand the floor over to Ken. Thank you, Ken.
Hey, thank you, Karen. Good evening, fellow parents. Just as let me share the screen first. Right. This is the report for October. So last month, we are able, we get $65,276 for the annual appeal. As Karen and Cassandra have mentioned, we got $163 through October. But compared to the same period year to date, last school year, we are able to raise $237,000. So we are almost like 66,000 less than what we have got last school year. So hopefully, I mean, the Giving Tuesday is coming up at the end of this month. So hopefully, all the parents, if you are able to contribute more, or you haven't made your contribution for the year, maybe this is the time to do it. And also last month, we also get something from the Spring Gather on the interest income that we got from the CD account. So altogether, we got $86,911 for the month of October. At the same time, I mean, what we are able to raise, we spend every dollars on various school program activity, and also the academic support, professional development, internship coordination. So we spent last month we spent $77,952 from the PA funding. And on the separate note, the 2023-24 annual audit should be ready for our next meeting in December. It is in the final stage. So we should have the final report for last school year. So I'm going to do the presentation for our next meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ken. Just to fill you guys in on upcoming events, and then we can wrap up for the evening. Quickly, we talked about the faculty reception. We have our next SLT meeting, November 26th, 3:45 in the principal's conference room. Everyone's invited who wants to come and listen in. We have our general meeting on December 10th, which I think I mentioned earlier. And there is also Korean Outreach Family Workshop virtual on November 19th. So lots of important things coming up. And I just checked, and I think that we have approval for our minutes. So thank you everyone for that. Really appreciate everybody coming tonight. It was a great showing. Keep up the good work of showing up for your children and for each other. We are a special community, and let's keep doing what we do. Looking forward to seeing you at school or the next meeting. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Dina, Principal Yu, and all the APs for tonight and filling us in on everything that we need to know.
Good night, all. We're going to end the meeting. Thank you.